In this video, I will be talking about developing a sense of awareness and also providing you some guidelines for a baseline of alignment. And I don't want you to think in a sense of alignment of like yoga poses or alignment that you're kind of like stuck and that's not that at all. It's, of course, alignment is just the position of body parts at any given moment. And because we are dynamic creatures, we will be changing our alignment all the time. But I want to bring awareness to the baseline or finding the center from which you can easily explore the possibilities of the center. And also, since I am specializing in yoga for core and pelvic floor health, it could matter in some cases more than others where your base alignment is or where do you like to hang out in life, like where your parts of the body are. And the core four kind of determine that alignment, that baseline. So one is the transverse abdominis, which basically corseting muscles and they're wrapping around. And then two, we have multifidus, which basically spinal muscles that start at the cervical spine and going all the way to the sacrum. So that's why the position of the head is gonna matter for that base alignment and for reestablishing the optimal function in the pelvic floor and the core. And then we have the respiratory diaphragm and the pelvic floor. So these are core four, also considered deep core muscles that I explore a little bit more in other videos. So based on that core four, and just to give you guidelines for the base alignment, I'm going to give you a few practices, a few awareness movements, not even movements, it's just more kind of like playing with the position of body parts. But I want you to connect with your feet and notice how the feet can communicate to you where the body parts are in space. And can you make some alterations or some little mindful tweaks, knowing where you are and how you're feeling based on your awareness, based on your communication from the feet? Can you just tune up, so to speak? All right, so we'll be standing. And I'm sure you also have heard of the plumb line alignment. I don't have a plumb line. So, and I don't want you to go there and being like so analytical, perhaps. We're just going to explore how the feet connect to the legs and hips. Maybe that's where we are for now. So, first of all, I want you to notice when you stand, when you don't really think about your alignment or yoga pose or like whatever. So, how do you stand? Like right now, I didn't think. So, this is how I'm standing. And I'm noticing my left foot is a little bit out. My right is a little bit more forward. So, my left foot is also a little bit more forward. And that's fine. So, like, this is my position of body parts at the moment. But can I experience a baseline of alignment and feel also comfortable there because that's the center? And usually when we finding the center, this is where we are finding the resting tone of muscles. Just like if we come to the center here and my feet are pointing forward, my pelvis is neutral. The pelvic floor, which is like if we visualize from the tailbone to the pubic bone, it's in that kind of neutral resting state. From here, if I'm gonna start drawing my tailbone towards the pubic bone, I'm gonna feel that contraction. And you can go ahead and kind of do it with me. You might also kind of experience that contraction if you activate the arches of the feet. So you're gonna draw your mount of the big toe and inner heel and try to like feel can you create that arch? And that might also feel a little bit more response in your pelvic floor. These are all subtle nuances that take practice to get connection with. So um, again, just kind of notice where your feet are, and can you find the center, that baseline, and feel comfortable in it? Because when we are spending too much time here, and this is like I see a lot, so kind of start paying attention. People when they're walking or maybe at the grocery store, I see a lot of that, and guys have that a lot. So um, and when I ask you to come to the baseline, it might be not very comfortable because, as you can see, if my feet are out, my lower legs are rotating, my knees are rotating, my thighs are rotating. And if I'm spending so much time there and I'm doing all my other activities in that position, um, then my body adapts to that position. And if I don't know how to return to the other side, right, to center and then the other side, or if I'm going to ask you to get there, you might not feel quite comfortable. So if we're going to place the feet pointing forward, and then let's say I'm bringing you from here, and I'm going to ask you, okay, can you bend your knees in this position? You might experience something like that. And if you go ahead and do that, and if you're noticing your knees are here, the baseline also gives us that information where our actual, thighs and legs are. Well, they actually rotate out quite a bit. So, right? Um, but now I want you just to play with variations of your possible or possible postures, how our body parts can be arranged in space. So if I'm going to pull my heels back, so you can see how my body is trying to adjust because I want to go backwards, right? So now the body parts have to adjust to let me not fall backwards. So you can see how my belly is kind of pushing forward, my back is arching, I'm really lifting the chest, and I'm trying to, I'm exaggerating obviously here, to get myself, okay, I'm not gonna go backwards. All right. Um, and then from here, I'm going to try to kind of reach with the toes forward that way. And now my body is falling forward, right? So which means, again, I have to make some adjustments. My body parts have to adjust, and maybe it's going to be something like this. So as you can see, my hips are shifting forward. My belly is kind of stretched. I might be here, and I feel the weight of the body in my toes and the balls of the feet. And if I'm going to try to lift my toes, it's quite challenging. Okay, so I'm just gonna see if you can find yourself. Are you there? Are you here? And then also with the feet, so if you put your one hand on the front of the pelvis and the other one in the back, just kind of start tilting your pelvis back and forth. Notice if you can even do that, if that feels okay. So I'm not doing this. You can see how my kind of pelvis is moving, but I have a lot going on here. And by shifting my pelvis forward, notice where the weight of the body is in the feet. And by shifting my pelvis back, notice where my weight in the feet is. And of course, notice what knees are doing because they are in between the feet and the hips. Now in this position, so my pelvis is forward, so my hips are shifted forward, my weight is shifted forward. Everything else upstairs have to, again, align. And remember, the head position is going to be part of the core, part of the multifidus. But in this position, go ahead and try to create a little bit of sense of contraction between your pubic bone and the tailbone. It's hard. Like what I'm trying to do is only happening from my glutes, which is not really what we are trying to accomplish with a pelvic floor. Okay, so again, the muscles in the pelvic floor will be altered. And if they never experience that sense of baseline, of that resting tone, again, they might create too much tightness or too much weakness or whatever else is happening. Okay. And now we're going to go the other way. So I'm going to try to tilt back and creating that arch. And again, in this position, try to connect your pubic bone towards the tailbone just by visualizing or trying to kind of that create contraction. And again, it's like, it's hard. And if we find that center, and perhaps that center feels a little bit awkward for you, and again, just another piece of information. Oh, wow, like I'm always here, and this way I like to hang out. I have a lot of times women come to me and say, oh, I had to cook like for a whole weekend. We had family over, and now my back is just so hurting. And then I ask them, well, can you kind of like recreate that environment, stand in front of your counter and just kind of do your work? And usually this is what they kind of default to. They get kind of tired and slouchy and whatever, and it's fine, it's understandable. Um, but then they come with that lower back tension. So we play with the positions, we play with tilting of the pelvis, we play to connect with the feet. And now they have this tool of awareness. Oh, I'm in the kitchen for a long time, so my back's starting to hurt. And guess what? I'm here. Okay, well, I'm going to just try to work in this position for a while. Or maybe I'm going to try to bend from the hips and work in that position for a while. And then you're allowing the body to move and experience variety of movement that increases your map of movement um, into so many possibilities. So I'd like you to have this image when we are exploring a new town or maybe a new country and we don't know a lot just because we haven't lived there and they speak a foreign language and whatever else in between. Then what do? We always like to find a map. And we have this big place there. You are here. And that gives us a sense of comfort, a sense of safety, a sense of direction, a sense of possibilities to quench our curiosity of that new town we're exploring. So that's how I look at creating awareness. And that is what yoga is really all about, just reconnecting us to the body and giving us possibilities through awareness, through knowing I'm here today. This is how much I know about my body. This is how much I'm connecting. And perhaps in a month, you can expand that connection, expand that you're here. And then you can explore. Well, what if I go here and I explore all of this, like my connection of the feet to the hips? Wow, so that gives, again, lots of different maps in your brain and your nervous system. And then you can explore more and more potential for movement. And through that variety and all those possibilities, and by adding strength to the practice, you're creating a body that can serve you well for a long time, hopefully. That's the goal. So I want you to start creating that sense of awareness of your body, connecting with it throughout your life, your movement, what you do, where you are, and just fill up that map for the movement potential. So just really quick, we're gonna try to shift to one side, see how it feels, shift to the other side, see how it feels, shift forward, shift back, jab the hip out, jab the hip out. Do you remember carrying babies on one hip? Which one did you favor? And more kids you had, more you probably remember that, right? So thank you for joining me to explore your body. And you know where you are at this moment. Cherish this moment and appreciate your body for giving you so many parts, so many systems to talk to you. Take time to listen. Take time to pause to listen. Namaste.